Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of The Rundown. I am your host, Craig DeLuz, but as I always say, I do not do this program on my own.
Hey, welcome to today's edition of The Rundown. It's the Hump Day!
Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's Hump Day.
Woo-woo!
She's so excited. That's like the excitement I get at home when I tell dad jokes. That's what I get out of them. You know. Hey, I am your co-host, Mike Porsky. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of Hump Day, The Rundown. Wednesday Hump Day edition of The Rundown here on The Rundown.
Exactly. This is like the beginning of the weekend, folks. At least for some folks. For the lucky few, this is the beginning of the weekend because, you know, you're starting on the way downhill. Quality of work, paying attention, all that just starts to head out the window.
Yeah, listen, this is the start of my weekend. Officially, about Wednesday at noon is the start of my weekend. Now, listen, I still have to go to work for another 3 days. Don't ask me for anything new on Thursday or Friday, though, because all you're going to get out of me is Hump Day.
Well, except this Friday. This Friday, we got something special coming up.
We do. We do have something special that's coming up this Friday. It's Feedback Friday. Feedback Friday. And that's special effects, folks. You don't get that on the radio. You only get that on the video here. We've got our newest sponsor, Grid Defense, coming along, and they're going to be giving away an 80% lower receiver from Grid Defense. And you know we're going to give away the week after that, Craig? Another one. We got more. So check us out this Friday for Feedback Friday noon, where you'll be able to interact with us.
We're gonna be doing this on Facebook. We'll probably be taking some of your comments on Twitter, but mostly we'll be following your comments on Facebook. So make sure make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook because I know not everybody watches us on YouTube. Watches us on Facebook. So watch us on YouTube, and then you can comment there as well. So make sure you like, share, subscribe. Just make sure you do that.
Remember, that's 6 p.m. in Germany, that's noon on the East Coast, and 3 a.m. in Hawaii.
Right, and 9 a.m. on the West Coast.
Yeah, nobody's paid attention on the West Coast.
Hey, man, we are behind enemy lines, let me tell you.
You are.
The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall.
Tom has a big mustache. If you're an East Coast guy and somebody they tell you, listen, that's going to be noon on the East Coast, and they start to go somewhere else, you're like, I'm the East Coast, dude. I don't have to worry about that. I literally don't care about what time it is anywhere else. The center of the universe is the East Coast of the United States. So, it's East Coast bias. It's East Coast bias. It is.
I know. We know this. We know this. We know this. All right. Well, hey, let's get into today's stories. So, the first story that we're going to be talking about is one we all know that COVID-19 appears to be wrapping up here in these United States, at least between the number of people who've gotten COVID-19 and developed the antibodies and the number of people who've been vaccinated. We appear to be headed towards herd immunity. And in many cases, you're seeing many people, including the CDC, update and change its requirements, whatever you want to call it, standards in terms of how people have to or are supposed to behave. And one of those is they said, well, you don't have to wear a mask outside anymore. And I'm like, well, first of all, we've always already known that it was stupid to wear a mask outside because there are actually no cases of individuals actually casually catching COVID-19 from someone outside. So we'll talk about some of that other stupid stuff they had you doing outside later. But now inside, they're saying if you're around a relatively small group of people, all of which are vaccinated, you don't need to wear a mask. And, well, most people kind of get that, except for one very important person. Bet you'll never guess who it is.
Take a listen to what President Biden had to say about wearing a mask indoors. This is just on Friday.
Why do you choose to wear a mask so often when you're vaccinated and you're around other people who are vaccinated?
Because I'm worried about you. No, it's a joke. It's a joke. Why am I wearing the mask? Because when we're inside, it's still good policy to wear the mask.
Is it really necessary for a fully vaccinated person to wear a mask at a limited indoor gathering if everyone there is vaccinated?
Well, the CDC has given guidance that when you're with family and friends that are vaccinated in small groups, you don't need a mask.
So why does President Biden, in a room full of vaccinated journalists, with everybody in that room vaccinated, why does he need to wear a mask?
The president is going to continue to follow the CDC guidance.
All right, so that was Jeffrey Geist. He is the president's point man on COVID-19 response. And by the way, he knows absolutely nothing about medicine, no medical background. He's a political operative. A reporter asked the president, well, why do you wear a mask? The president says, well, it's still a good idea to wear a mask, even if you're vaccinated indoors. And then Jake Tapper, which I'll give him credit for, asked Jeffrey Zeist, well, do you still have to wear a mask when you're around people who are all vaccinated? And he says, well, according to the CDC, you don't have to. So we're going to, and then he says, well, then why does the president still wear a mask? And he says, well, we're going to follow the direction of the CDC. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, listen, I just want to be in compliance with the president, so I'm going to wear my mask while we're indoors. By the way, this is a mask brought to you by Grid Defense. It's a 80% aluminum mask. In fact, Craig, look, it's actually like 80% of a mask right here. I'm actually talking to you out of the bottom of my mask. So this is a 80% mask from Grid Defense that we're going to give away on Feedback Friday coming up this week. Shameless plugs, right? Craig, listen, do we believe anything the CDC says anymore? Do we believe anything the NIH says anymore? I watched, Dr. Fakey with Senator Rand Paul today, and the guy just went back and forth telling lies about types of research and then mask wearing. It's crap. This has never been about facts. Masks have never been about facts, Craig. They've always been about fear. It's always been about fear. And the president, this guy doesn't know where he is any time of the day. He doesn't have a clue what he's doing. So he wears a mask because somebody says, oh, a mask. So he wears it. He can't remember what's going on. It's shameful, the lack of brain power this guy has left due to an illness that affects people, some people when they get to his age. He has clear signs of dementia. And so when you ask him when he's going to wear a mask, listen, his answer tomorrow is going to be different than his answer today because he doesn't remember from one day to the other.
But the thing on top of it all is that if you're saying that, hey, you know what, we want to, the whole goal is to get the economy going again, to get people being active again, to convince people supposedly that we're moving to the next stage, we're moving beyond where we need to be, locked up and in fear or whatever you want to. If your goal is to convince people of that, then why are you doing the exact opposite of what your CDC is saying? Why are you still wearing a mask? But it all goes back to that very same thing, like the story we did the other day about liberals can't quit quarantine. The fact is that all they have to go by is fear. All they have to motivate people is fear because. I'll tell you what people need to be scared about. They need to be scared about rising prices, rising gas prices, rising wood prices. They need to be concerned about those things. Now, those are things, in my opinion, that for which there probably should be a reasonable amount of concern. But the problem with those is those were all created by Joe Biden and his administration.
It all comes back to fear. Listen, the gas prices, we know what happened there. We know what's going on with lumber prices. All fear. Craig, last time I actually wore a mask for any significant period. You and I flew to Detroit to go to Rick Ector's event where we trained just under 2,000 women in a weekend in basic firearm safety. Had to wear it to get on the airplane. Just had to. Otherwise my option was to drive 1,100 miles, and I didn't have the time to do that weekend. I do keep a mask on me, Craig. Very, very rarely wear one, but I go to a couple of banks because they got money that I want that's mine, and I need to get some of it out. And they're very obstinate when it comes to masks. So I walk in, and usually they give me the look, and they say, "Do you have a mask?" And I give them the Mówić po polski. Do I ask them if they know how to speak Polish? And they don't, and so I just walk past them. But if they put up a fuss, I reach in my pocket and I keep it on me for this reason, and I bring it out and I go. Okay, where do I go now? Where do I go? And then they back off. You would not believe the way they back off when you got a bloody mask that you're coughing into. Okay, I got my mask on. Now what? You feel protected? I can't carry that around. Every day just to make my point,
Dude, you got to send me the link. I have to get one of those.
I make this one myself. That's real blood. Yeah. I smoke a lot of cigars during the day.
Yeah, right.
No, I'll send you the link. Not a problem. I'll send you the link.
Appreciate that. All right, but you know what? Hey, the funny part about all this is you would think that stuff like this would be perfect fodder for the left and for the media, which is pretty much the same thing. But what's interesting is that now that they don't have President Donald Trump to kick around anymore, you've seen the ratings at places like MSNBC, CNN, all of the major critics of the president, Joy Reid, Rachel Maddow, every single one of them have seen their ratings fall into the toilet, the worst ever. Well, that's all because, well, they can't just say Orange Man bad anymore.
Yeah, it's horrible. First off, every week that Rachel Maddow is on is the worst week that Rachel Maddow is on. I don't know if you've ever stopped to see that show, but that's an angry little boy there. She's got some issues. I don't know what's going on with her. But yeah, without Trump, without Bad Man Orange, they have got nothing to go after. You watch it and they're like, well, let's see, we covered weather and we don't do sports, so what do we do now? Then you got 58 minutes of them sitting around looking at each other because there's nothing left. It's really horrible. I mean, he's down in Mar-a-Lago. Did he say anything yet today? No? Crap. What do we do? I mean, the good news is, listen, I've always been a big fan of Robin Meade there on MSNBC, but now recently I've been watching her with the sound on again, so that's kind of nice.
Well, but the thing is, though, is if they were really objective, dude, they have plenty to talk about. Once again, they have Joe Biden. They have someone who can't remember where he is from moment to moment. They have someone who repeatedly just gets up and says things from the podium that simply are not true. I mean, the number of times that we've alone pointed out on this show that he's done or said something that is completely outrageous. I mean, even the late night comedians have gotten to the point where they can't ignore it anymore. They're like, look, this stuff is just too good. We have to say something. But yet, for some reason, those in the mainstream media or in the left-wing mainstream media just can't seem to find it in their hearts to report the truth on the man.
Listen, the guy fell up the stairs. He fell up the stairs. Okay?
That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen.
The guy's gone.
That's a presidential first, right? Does that go into the Guinness Book of World Records, the first president to fall up the stairs?
That's the first human to fall up the stairs. I mean, listen, if you're in zero G and your space capsule is hurtling away from us at negative G, you still don't fall up the stairs. You know what makes it worse?
He didn't just fall once.
No, he did not.
He did not just fall twice.
He did not.
He fell 3 times.
He did. The Kamala really greased those stairs well. I'll just say that. She is trying to take him out a little earlier than planned.
I think that is exactly what you have going on there. Kamala trying to take him out. But that's not the only interesting news that's going on there on the left coast, or actually East Coast. I'm sorry. Yeah, left coast, East Coast. Each of the coasts, both coasts are the left coast. Kind of seems like, although you guys at least have some respite there down south. But in New York City, there is a great thing that is going on, and that is that the worst mayor in the entire world is finally not going to be in New York City anymore, and that is Mayor de Blasio. Now, there's an election going on, and you might have heard a little bit about it. The former presidential candidate, Andrew Yang, who was projected to kind of be the front runner in this. He's the multi-millionaire entrepreneur who one thought was going to be a reasonable individual, but is basically given over to the woke left. Well, he's actually losing in the polls. He's losing in the polls to a guy named Eric Adams, who, to be honest, now I'm going to be honest with you, he's as left as they come in most areas. He is identity politics, woketivist, whatever you want to call him. But here's the interesting thing. He said that if he's elected, he's not going to have a security detail. He's going to carry a gun. He said he believes, like, look, I'm gonna have a gun on me. So I figure if the community doesn't get to have extra security guards, why should I? I'm going to make sure that I am armed.
Yeah, listen, Yang was, like you said, he was in the lead there for quite a while. And within the past couple of months, I think New York City is finally realizing, wow, Yang is just the next version of de Blasio here, the worst mayor ever. William Wilhelm, by the way, his real name, because he thought de Blasio would get him elected better. So he changed his name. But old Wilhelm is out and Yang's in, and they're like, wait a second, Yang's just going to continue the policies of the guy right now that's created, what do we got, 10 shootings in a week there? We've got the toughest gun control in the country, yet we can't even control this. Well, it's just a whole nother angle to get off on. But Adams, like you said, you know what? I'm strapping up. My only question, Craig, is do you think he'll be carrying an 80% lower? Will he be carrying an 80% lower instead of, if he really wants to be a badass, he'll carry an 80% lower?
Yeah, I don't think an 80% lower in and of itself is going to be enough for him to be able to appropriately defend himself.
Then how about 160% of lowers right here? 160%.
Well, but what I think you're seeing here is an individual who's reading the room. He recognizes, as many people there in New York are recognizing, that this whole defund the police thing, number one, is not working. Number two, not allowing citizens to be able to defend themselves is not working, and it's doing nothing but emboldening those who seek to victimize the people in these communities. And so he's like, no, you know what? Not only what I'm hoping he's saying is, I'm going to set an example. I will be my own first responder. And you know what? If the people of New York want to be their own first responder, I'm going to let them do that too.
Yeah, that's what we have to come down and see, just because he said he's going to carry the firearm. We know plenty of politicians out there that say, what's good for thee is not good for thou. So we'll see if that's what happens. If
he's talking a good game,
we'll be allowed to carry his firearm and nobody else will.
He's talking a good game, but like I said, it's one of those things where that talking a good game may make him 20%. We're supporting 20% versus Chang's 5%.
Yeah.
So you never know, but it's definitely something worth paying attention to. It's definitely something worth watching. I'm interested to see, number one, how the race turns out, and then number two, if he actually lives up to his billing.
Yeah. We will take a look. We will wait, and we will wait with bated breath and see what happens. With the, like you said, the primary, and then what their policies are going to be of Adams if he does win the primary.
Exactly, because folks, we all know that when it comes to a lot of this stuff, we all know that the truth really doesn't matter because, much as in the case with things like critical race theory. It's something that sounds good on paper, anti-racism and all of that stuff. But in the end, what it really comes down to is their goal is to get in control and to control you and make you decide, basically tell you what your values are going to be and tell you how to live your life. Critical race theory, by the way, for those of you, we've talked a little bit about it, but for those of you who really don't understand what it is, it's an offshoot of postmodernism, but it is a completely 100% theory. It's an unproven theory. It's a thing that's been put in place that went from theory to irrefutable fact. It's part of social justice scholarship, which includes things like queer theory and new feminism, things like fat theory. Yes, critical disabled thinking. I mean, it's all about the fact that there's an oppressor and there's an oppressed. And if you are part of the oppressor, in the case of critical race theory, the oppressor is white people. If you are the oppressor, even if you don't even know you're the oppressor, and there's no way you can stop from being the oppressor. And no matter what, in other words, no matter what, if you're white, you are racist, and there's nothing you can do to keep from being racist. And the only way in which to keep you from being racist, is to remove you from power. In essence, what they want to do is they want to tear down the entire system. Well, people who actually take the time to read critical race theory, to read about its origins, are now fighting back via lawsuits. You have individuals who are suing employers, who are suing, especially if those employers are government entities, who are suing them because they're teaching a theory that basically is teaching them that they are evil and that, it's basically they're trying to fight racism, which they say they're trying to fight racism, But really what they're doing is they're instituting racism in order to, as they say, fight racism.
Hold on, Craig. I want to make sure I write this down. I want to put oppressor on my resume. I mean, I'm white, so I am an oppressor. There we go. Oppressor. I'm going to put it at the top of the resume. There we go. All right. Listen, you said a bunch of other, kind of race theories there and disabled and that kind of stuff. And are those real? I have never heard of any of those whatsoever. That sounds pretty ridiculous. I mean, I know these I don't know what you'd call them, these social media kids that are out there running the Chaz and the government free zones or whatever the hell it is. They come up with some of this crap, but I really have just kind of boxed them out and shut it out. And they said, you want to have your own autonomous zone? Go ahead. We're not gonna bring you food either. Uber's not coming in there. Sorry.
But the reason this is scary. This is scary stuff because literally it's being instituted in, like I said, it used to just be like in academia. Now
right.
It's everywhere. All of this training you see having like you see at Coca-Cola where they're requiring them to take anti-whiteness training.
Right.
I mean,
listen, we could solve it though. You and I right now, we could solve it. I've got a young teen, and she said, she started to tell me what kind of car she wanted when she's old enough to drive a car. And I said, well, listen, here's the deal. Either President Trump is right, or you don't get a car. So, you get to decide what do you want to be. And she's all, well, I'll just call my friends. I'm like, well, I'm on board with their parents. So we're just going to re-educate you right now before you get to the point where you have to make a real decision in the world and make yourself sound like an idiot. So,
the thing,
cutting them off.
Well, the interesting thing is that, and I hear people say, well, you shouldn't send your kids to public school because it's that, the other. And I'm like this, you know what? Do you have so little confidence in your ability to influence your children that you can't follow what they're being taught and teach them correctly? Teach them why what they're being taught, if they're being taught these things in school, why it is incorrect. You don't have enough confidence in what you know to be able to stand up in your place of work and say, yeah, no, I'm not racist. And just because you say I'm racist doesn't mean that I am. And oh, by the way, just because I, as a person of color, have been married for almost 30 years and own my own business and have a college degree has nothing to do with my proximity to whiteness. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with me trying to be white. And to tell them, look, you have absolutely no foundation, no statistical data to support any of the mumbo jumbo that you are trying to spread, and stand up against it.
Yeah. I won't send my daughter to a public school. I wouldn't send any kid to a public school in a major metropolitan area. I live in a major metropolitan area, so our government is run by liberals and Democrats, and especially in the school district. Listen, we saw what happened with Commissioner Rumsey down in Broward County, with the sheriff down there, former Sheriff Scott Israel. They are both willing to sacrifice the lives of your children to make their point when it comes to their vision of gun control. Folks, they will defend your children with a sign that says, no guns allowed. That's how they protect your children. 17 died in Parkland because of that policy. And it's happening everywhere else in major cities. It's happening in New York. We mentioned it earlier in the program because we have our policies that say no guns allowed. Guns are illegal here. So therefore, everybody's going to be safe. You see this crap happening every day, everywhere. I'm not letting it happen to my child. It will not happen. I will not take part in their corrupt leadership.
Well, I teach my kids how to stand up and fight. And part of the challenge I see with a lot of conservative kids, quite frankly, is they go out into the real world and they don't know how to defend what they believe because they've been surrounded by people who think like they think. And so they've never really been challenged. And they go into the world, and when it comes time to then stand up and talk about why you believe what you believe and what it means and how to defend themselves against some of the madness and stupidity that comes from the left, they don't know how to. I know that my kids do. I know that my kids know how to defend themselves. They know how to defend what it is that they believe and why it is that they believe it. Because, quite frankly, they've had to defend themselves. They have had to defend their values on the regular.
That's right. Remember, wax on, wax off.
Wax off.
Paint defense. Paint defense.
But it's nice, for me, it's nice to see people filing lawsuits because in the end, what's going to wind up hopefully coming out in these courts is There is no real substance. There is no scholarship. So any real rigorous scholarship supporting any of the crazy theories that they are purporting as in their opinion to be the truth. I call it a religious doctrine.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you, as a school board member, have an incredible say in what you do there. I know that you're blessed, basically, in your school board district. You have like-minded people on your school board like yourself. The rest of us, I know some of the school board members here personally in my jurisdiction, and I'm in a million-plus jurisdiction. And it's you just can't convince. They've been told the whole time that things like the critical race theory exists, climate control exists, and no gun signs are going to keep us all safe.
Well, there's a good book by Thomas Sowell called Conflict of Visions, where he talks about, basically there's a whole group of people out there who believe we don't need to worry about the past. We don't need to worry about past definitions. We don't need to worry about past traditions or laws or anything like that. We just need to get the smartest people, the intellectuals that we know today, to tell us what's right and what's wrong, and that's how we're going to determine things. And that's pretty much what we're talking about here, right? The president is saying, I'm going to put my people, which he believes are the smartest people, and they're going to redefine stuff, and they're going to tell us what is right and what is wrong.
Craig, the problem is President Biden doesn't surround himself with smart people. He's got the rest of the moron crowd up there like he's got. For instance, this is now this 80% lower is now a firearm. Look at it. It's got a solid chunk of aluminum in it. It would take me, a CNC machine, $100,000 worth of tools, and hopefully I get it right on the first time and not the 99th time. He's trying to tell me this is a firearm now. This is a freaking paperweight. By the way, we're going to be giving away this Friday on Feedback Friday. Thank you, Grid Defense.
Yes, we will be giving away paperweights on
80% paperweights.
On 80% paperweights on Feedback Friday. All right, folks. Hey, let's get on to today's parting shot. I think a lot of what we talked about today kind of falls in line with this particular thing. And I'll read it to you. It says, I never thought I'd live to see the day when the right wing would become the cool ones giving the middle finger to the establishment, and the left wing becoming the sniveling, self-righteous, twatty ones going around shaming everyone. And that is John Linden from the Sex Pistols. That meme is courtesy of Turning Point USA, or Turning Point UK. I'm sorry, Turning Point UK. But I mean, that's the thing is right now, right? It's the people on the right who are standing up and rebelling, and it's the left who've become the establishment.
Johnny Lydon of the Sex Pistols. That's who he is. Yeah, it's who would have thought? Who would have thunk, right? Amazing that the tides have turned and everything is flip-flopped from one to the other.
It is amazing and it is sad. But hey, that is the world that we currently live in, and that's why we bring you the news, because you can't really trust the establishment to bring you the news. So remember, as we come to the end of this edition, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe.
Like, share, subscribe. Feedback Friday coming up. Thank you, Grid Defense. Be giving away some 80%ers coming up on Friday.
Don't want to miss it. Talk to you again tomorrow.
Peace.